Now, how can I grow the habit of restriction? How can I grow the habit of restriction? So, restriction is similar to what we call discipline. Are you there? Where people will come and say, you have to be disciplined. Can't you discipline yourself? Yes, restriction is similar to that. But you see, restriction, the one I spoke about in my teachings, because I know you must have listened to that teaching. Restriction, the one I spoke about, is beyond the discipline that a man can bring upon himself by just choosing to be moral. No. The restriction I'm speaking of is the one that the Spirit of God brings up a man under, are you there, through his instructions. So restrictions is defined by God's instructions. So how do I get restricted? Simply by obeying God's instruction. That's it. So how do I get restricted? Simply by obeying God's instruction. Are we together? And you see, being restricted in kingdom context is not negative, it's positive. Being restricted is not a disadvantage, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be restricted by God's instructions. What does it mean? Being restricted does not mean you are being stopped, you are being limited. No, it only means that you are living by the word. You are moving as He leads you. You are allowing the instructions of God to direct you. That's what it means. Are you there? But you see, restriction in itself is a blessing. Are you there? When the source is God. That's another thing to look at. If what is restricting you is sin, you are not blessed. If what is restricting you is sin, you are not blessed. For example, you stole something from a place and then you don't know how to go to that place again. The fear is there. What if they now know that I'm the one? Now you are being restricted. You cannot go to that place again. You cannot talk to those people again. That restriction is not a blessing because what is bringing a restriction upon you is sin. Are you there? So the restriction that the devil brings to us is not a blessing. The restriction that sin brings onto us is not a blessing. For example, there are people that have been possessed by unclean spirits. And because of that, that spirit has restricted them to certain things. They have to live in certain ways. Every day they have to take drugs. Every day they have to do some terrible things. And that restriction is not a blessing. So restriction only becomes a blessing when the source is God. If it is the Spirit of the Lord that is restricting you, you are blessed. For example, the Lord is saying, my son, today, don't eat. I want you to take a fast. Eat in the evening. Eat in the afternoon. That's restriction. The food is ready. As a matter of fact, maybe you are a student, they have already packed your food in the cooler. Either or you are at home and then they have already dished your food. And you just go to the dining and you cover your food. You are not eating. No, no, I'll eat later. You have been restricted. That's a blessing. So it's a blessing when the Lord restricts you. But it's not a blessing when you are restricted by the devil or by sin. So now God restrict us is through his instructions. So how do I allow God restrict me? Since God's restriction is a blessing, so how do I allow God restrict me? Now you allow God restrict you by deliberately obeying his instructions. Are you there? You allow God restrict you by deliberately obeying his instructions. So your choice to obey what God is saying is your decision to allow him restrict you. Are we together? That's it.